Hello there. Several weeks ago, the governments in Europe they started to give out these lateral flow testing kits that you can use to measure whether or not you have the COVID-19 virus. And I wanted to give you a reason why you should test several times. And my reason is probably different from what you have heard in the press, from the government, or even from medical center. And you can trust me because I'm a physicist. When you look at the information available, then you recognize that it is a bit unclear how well these LFT tests actually work. And the detection rates varies between 50% and 90% when you look at the information that is available from governments, from universities, or similar resources. I assume that the detection rate is around 70%, which seems to me a pretty good guess. For the sake of this argument that I will tell you, it does not really make a difference what this detection rate is because the same principles apply. Now, schools in the UK test students twice, and at the moment, similar things are happening in other countries in Europe. Now, before I go on, I want to focus on two terms. One is sensitivity, and the other is specificity, which I always have trouble to pronounce because they are out there quite often used and they may be confusing. Now, sensitivity is actually the detection, so it's the same thing and the most natural or intuitive way that you probably think about it. It tells you what is, if you have the virus, what is the chance that your test will actually detect the virus. And this we assumed here to be about 70%. Now, the specificity is the false positives, which means that if the test tells you you have the virus, but you actually don't have it. Now, the good news is that this test seems to be very, very good in this aspect. And of all the resources that I looked at, it is above 99%. So for the sake of this argument, we don't have to take this into account. Okay, what are the factors actually that affect accuracy? Now, accuracy is affected by the virus count in your body. It's quite simple. The more of the virus you have, the more it will be in your throat or nostrils, and that the test reacts to the abundance of the virus in your swab. So when you use it in your nose or your nostrils, the less viruses there are in the body, the less chance it will be detected. Now, the virus count itself is dependent on how long and how intensive somebody has had the disease. So everything I think so far is quite simple and easy to understand. Now, why you should test multiple times? Now, the first thing is, of course, the biological reasons. You can get infected since the last test, or the virus count may have increased. You may not have had the virus on a Monday, but you can catch it by Friday. So therefore, you should continuously test. The other thing is that although you may have the virus, the virus has not multiplied in your body yet, and therefore the virus count is too low to be detected by your test kit. However, and this is where this video is about, there's also a mathematical reason, and the mathematical reason is probability. And in order to explain it, I want to use a die, and because the same principle that applies to throwing a die applies also to this test. Now I use a four-sided die rather than the usual six-sided one, and the only reason is that the mathematics is a lot easier. But the same mathematics applies to the six-sided die. By the way, it's called a tetrahedron from the Greek, which means four-faced, four-sided. So, what is the probability that you get a four, for example? Okay. Well, you probably will have guessed because it's 1 out of 4 chances. So you have 1 out of 4 or 25%. Now the question is, when you throw the die 2 times, what will be your probability then? Now you may think, okay, it is another 25%. It cannot be 25% each time. Then because then after 4 throws you would for sure get a 4, which if you have ever played with a 6-sided die, if you throw it 6 times, you are also not sure that you get a die, and sometimes you wait for it and you get simply desperate in your game and when you want to win and looking for a 6. So the way you can determine and calculate this probability is, first of all, I tell you the answer, which it is 7 out of 16 or 43.75%. And how do you get to that? You get the answer by using the following this technique, that you say the probability is 1 minus the probability that you don't get a 4, and then multiply it again that you don't get a 4. So you do it twice. Now the probability that you don't get a 4 is 3 out of 4, or 75%. So if you do 1 minus 0.75 squared, so because you have this, you multiply it 2 times, then you will get this 43.75% that is the answer to this question here. Now, when you use the LFT test, what is the probability that you detect the virus if you have it? I mean, you always have to. We said we assumed 7 out of 10 or 70%. Now, when you do the test 2 times now, what is your probability now that you detect the test? Well, your probability is, it's exactly like with the die. It's 1 minus the probability that you don't detect it, again minus the probability that you don't detect it. Now the probability that you don't detect it is 3 out of 10 or 0.3 or 30%. So if I do 1 minus 0.3 squared, I get 1 minus 0.09 is 0.91 or 91%. So by testing twice, you have improved your safety net up to 91% accuracy. Now, how sure can you be after 3 times? Well, after 3 times, you can apply the same mathematical techniques again. You can simply say 1 minus 0.3 to the third. So 0.3 is what's called the complementary probability, is 1 minus 0.027, or you get 0.973, which is 97.3%. So if you do it 3 times and you get no result, you can be 97.3% sure that you don't have the virus after 3 times. So regardless, now the point about this is, regardless now whether this is 70%, 75%, or 65%, if you do it multiple times, your probability will go up that you detect the virus. And so apart from the biological reason, as you can see, there are also mathematical reasons that you should do the test several times. Until next time, bye for now.